Hey guys, welcome to another video. This one I want to start out with a story because it's kind of an interesting story for a more or less interesting video. So it all started with meeting my friends out at Index to do some climbing. With the state opening up back up and everything, I wanted to, I was obviously itching to get out and go climbing. And so me and some friends were meeting up at Index, a popular climbing area. And I figured I'd get there a little bit early and shoot a video on rope soloing on lead, which has been a video that I've been meaning to make for quite a while. Sadly, the video didn't really work out. I had some trouble with my GoPro and setup, and there were also a ton of people there, so I kind of don't want to make a video with a million people there. I feel like I'm just ruining their lives. And so I did end up still rope soloing Great Northern Slab, which if you haven't climbed it, it's a great climb. Really fun to do. It's not that hard, so it's a really great first multi-pitch trad route, 3 pitches. While I was out there though, I did decide to test out a few devices. There's kind of 2 different things that people mean when they say rope soloing. One is rope soloing in an aid context, which is where you're aid climbing and then controlling the amount of rope on you as you go up, which I do plan on making a video on that, aid rope soloing. The rope soloing I was talking about is more of a sort of free climbing rope solo, which is pretty similar to the aid solo. And so when you're aid soloing, a lot of times you use gree-grees. I think for aid soloing, it's kind of nice to use the gree-gree plus because of that top rope mode. You can flip it into top rope mode and then it catches a little bit better. I've done some aid soloing with the gree-gree in top rope mode, and I've actually fallen on it and it pinched right away, so I really didn't fall that far. Regular gree-grees work just fine as well, but I think that these are kind of a bit nicer to use maybe for the free climbing rope soloing. Basically, it's just a pain in the ass to deal with pulling the rope out of the device and tying your backup knots, and when you don't have 2 hands while you're climbing, that's pretty annoying. Which is why people come up with better sort of systems, and companies in the past have made actual rope soloing, free climbing rope soloing gadgets that just aren't made anymore for some reason. I guess not enough people were buying them, but the minute a company comes out with a new lead rope soloing gadget, then that's going to sell very well. While I was there, I also decided to test out the Revo made by Wild Country. People have been saying, and I think I said in my review of this device, that it'd be really good for rope soloing because of the fact that it's more or less an ATC with that backup feature of being able to pinch the rope, and essentially you can use it like a gree-gree in that case. It has different properties of a gree-gree in that really when you're belaying, if you're belaying properly, then this locking feature never really comes into play. It works just like an ATC. But once the rope accelerates to 2 meters per second, this thing should lock up. However, while I was there at Index, I led up one of the pitches, and then I set my top rope, rappelled back down, got all my stuff, and then I used this to top rope solo my way up. And while the rope fed really smoothly going through it, and I figured while I had this Super Bomber anchor that was holding me to the wall up there, I would do a couple drops on this thing to see when or how well it catched, or just to see it in action. What I found out, really what happened is I tied a backup knot about 4 or 5 feet below me on my brake strand, and then I went up and then I fell down onto this thing, and then the rope went zooming through the device straight to the backup knot right here. So if I never put a backup knot in, I would have just slid to the end, it seems. And I thought, well, that was kind of weird. And I went up and I took 3 or 4 more falls, and the knot every time went straight up to the device. And it wasn't like it was starting to pinch and then the knot came in and pushed the lock down. It just never pinched in the first place. And so I thought that was really strange, and I sort of drew the conclusion that maybe this isn't really the best rope soloing gadget out there. And so I wanted to make a video on it, sort of warning the climbing community that you shouldn't rope solo with this thing, but I wanted to have video proof for it. And so I went out to exit 38 and I soloed up a few more climbs, and I set up this whole experiment and everything with a backup line and all that stuff to show you guys how the dangers of using this for any sort of rope soloing. And then it actually started working, and and I don't know why it started working. The first fall I did, again, the backup knot went straight up onto the device, and then every fall after that it would catch after about a meter of falling or something. And so I don't know, there's a number of possibilities there. One is I was on slab both times I was trying to fall, so maybe I couldn't build up enough speed. But yeah, I was just sort of, you can hear it in the video that I'm kind of dumbfounded that it actually worked. And I was sort of laughing about it too, because I really wasn't expecting this thing to work on the second try. And then afterwards I did like 4 more tries after that of falling on this thing, and it caught me every time. Now this is in a top rope environment. I'm going to test this thing out for lead rope soloing too, just to see if it'll probably get me the same result, but I just want to make sure before I post that out to everyone, and I'll have a separate video on that. Yeah, I mean, I guess the same as any other device, it's smart to, when you're using this for rope soloing, either aid soloing or free climbing rope soloing, it's nice to have maybe another, just put in a backup knot in the brake strand every 20 feet or so, so that way if this thing doesn't choose to lock up, then you're not going to hit the ground. I think with aid soloing, it'll be a lot nicer, because I have another video that I shot on free climbing soloing with, I think I used the Grigri Plus in top rope mode. Or no, I clipped it into lead mode while I was climbing. And yeah, it just pinched up on me all the time, and it was super annoying. And I'll put that video up on my channel too, because I have the GoPro going and I'm just always pressing down on the lever trying to give myself more slack, among other problems. That was probably the route that I chose to rope solo, is probably the worst route that I could have chosen. So you get to see me flop around a whole lot and dealing with all the problems. It was also soaking wet that day, so probably shouldn't have even been out there. So yeah, it's a bit of further testing is required, but I think in terms of like aid soloing, and you have your hands free, you put a backup knot in about 20-30 feet below you on your brake strand, start going up your ladders, this thing will hang on your belay loop like this, and then the rope will just slide right through. Like, no big deal until you get to that knot, which is kind of nice, whereas the Grigri, every time you step up, you would probably have to release that cam. And so yeah, it just stays out of your way a bit faster. So I think this would be really great for that kind of climbing. If you fall, most likely it'll pinch up on you, but you have the backup knot just in case. I put my GoPro footage at the end of this video, so you can watch me do all my testing, and I sort of explain my systems during that point. But I'm also going to post the full unedited video along with this video, if you guys want to watch the whole thing with my testing and my actual reactions. And you know, there are parts where I like start saying something, but then I stop and think about it, and other parts where I'm just staring into nothing, thinking about what to do next. So if you want to see the whole experiment, we'll call it, then I'll have that video up with this one. But yeah, just be careful with these devices, because so far as what I've seen is they don't lock up every time. I guess you can say that about the Grigri, but I just don't want people treating this as a complete miracle rope soloing device. Anyway, just check out what I did and make your own conclusion from that. Also, yes, I'm in a garage, and this is my new gear wall that I set up. Bunch of extra lockers, quick draws, a lot of cams, you know, extra stuff down there. So let me know what you guys think about my new sort of studio slash not a studio, but I think it makes a nice background just while I'm talking and not actually doing anything on camera. First, I wanted to talk about my setup here. I got my Revo set up on this knot right here, and then I got my Grigri set up on this knot. So the idea is that the Grigri is going to be a backup line for just in case anything on this line fails, for the sake of demonstration. And then I am using the same rope because I didn't want to bring up more rope than I had to, but both the ends are down there with knots on them. And I'm not even going to go that far. I'm just going to use this slab right here for my demonstration. If you watched my lead rope soloing video that I just made, actually, it was right up there where I did it around the corner. You'll see that I used a gree for pretty much everything, and I actually did have a reason for that, and that's because I've used the Revo for rope soloing before, but I recently did a few tests with it and I wasn't happy with how it performed in case I fell, and so I'm going to recreate that for you right here. Now, a couple of different things, or I had a couple of different setups last time with while using this for rope soloing. For one, I had most of the rope below the Revo, so that could affect the results that I get now, but I will explain that in the video. It would help if I loaded this thing right, huh? Okay, so here's my next setup. I'm down from the anchor, maybe about 15 feet. I have my backup line tied off with a bite knot right here. And another thing I'm going to do is on the Revo side is I'm going to move up a little bit. Got this fun little slab right here. Just move up to right there. Pull this guy a bit. And then, so the idea is that I pull some rope out of this thing. Whoops, maybe it's the other one. Yeah. So, now I got it, it's all loaded. This thing is loose. And the idea is that I'm going to put another backup knot here. And so this is what I'm really expecting, is the Revo is going to catch on the backup knot before this thing comes into play. And so it's kind of like a fully closed system, but then to back it up I have another fully closed system. So anyway, let me start climbing. Pull rope through. Another thing that I didn't mention at the start was how dirty the slab was, but with the weight of the rope, it easily pulls through the Revo. But I don't think I have enough rope down there to weight it. Actually, I do. It's sliding through easier than the gree, that's for sure. Alright, so I think I have enough slack here to do my first demonstration. Just pull more rope through the gree here. Alright, and so the idea with the Revo, it is a self-locking device, or sorry, an auto-locking device, just like the gree. But I found that with these falls, like by doing these same test falls, top rope soloing with this thing, is I think the weight of the rope, even if it's not that much weight, will actually occlude the braking system on this thing, which should be right there. That's when the whole thing is locked in place. But if that's not preset, then the rope slides smoothly through it. So let's see what happens. This is gonna suck. And there we have it. So you can see if this backup knot wasn't here, then I would have just slid all the way down to the end of my rope, or be caught on this one. So you can see how even with a full fall, I still wasn't able to make it lock. Let's try to go a bit further. Okay, so what I'm going to do is keep the same knot, same exact setup. Climb up my slab, my dirty slab, with the rope. God damn, it's hard. And then the idea is that the rope slides through this device. This is the same distance as before. Loosen this guy up. I'm going to go up one more. Pull a bunch of rope through. God damn that. Oh, hey! Hey, look at that! Oh, it braked. Oh my god, that's the first time that's happened, where before I hit the knot, and actually, it braked for me. And then I can slide down. Whoa! Going back again. Okay, so I really wasn't expecting that. Every other time, it's gone all the way to the knot. So I just need to have the knot lower or something? There we go. Yeah, let's give the knot a wee bit more room. God, it's gonna be a scary fall. Anyway, I'll probably hit the gree, won't I? Well, no, I won't, because the Revo will stop me. Hey, look at that! Actually clicked for me. Yeah, this thing isn't as weird as I thought. Okay, so my new test that I'm doing is instead of having a little bit of rope out, I fed out over half of the rope. So now the weight of the rope will actually be a factor. Set up just like before. It's ready to lock. Here's my backup knot for my gree-gree. Feed more slack out. There's my step. Oh, my step's way down there. So I go down a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. The backup knot for the gree-gree. And my backup knot for the Revo right here. Hopefully that won't stretch too much. Time for it to hit that one. Just bump this one down a wee bit. Alright. Oh god, that's... It's kind of a long way to fall, isn't it? I don't have to fall that far. Let's move that knot up. Okay, I guess that's better. Here's my other theory I had, was the weight of the rope is going to keep this thing from pinching up when you fall on it. And I've had this happen in the field. Let's see now, do I have everything set? Yeah, I do. Okay, here we go. I'll be damned. Seems to be catching now. Test number 2. Pop that guy back in place. I'm starting to get used to it now. Yeah, it's catching every time, and actually not that far. I was only standing here, so I mean it only takes once the rope starts accelerating at 2 meters per second, that's when this thing locks up. I just pop it and let it go. God damn, that is a hard catch. But I gotta say, it's working now. I've probably done at least 6 or 7 falls. Maybe closer to 10, I don't know, I haven't been keeping count, but there's only that one fall I made it to the end of the rope, like to the blocker knot, and then every fall afterwards, it stopped way before.